Let's welcome the digital dialogue with Minister Victor Dominello, the IT guy, the cable guy of the state government, who's led a revolution in customer service and literally the very nature of government, digitising government within. Minister, welcome.
Thanks, mate. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Very well. Look, your seat in state parliament ride is classically in that centre part of Sydney. Having grown up in sort of Dundas, Carlingford myself, I know that part of northwestish Sydney very well. It's a unique proposition from Meadowbank, sort of at its southern edge, just north of the river, out through the old sort of John Howard territory, a swing seat. After former Deputy Premier John Watkins, long term in that seat, so it's been a bit of a bellwether seat. We're going to a state election. You've just been through a federal election, in fact, including a change in seat for Bennelong, the federal John Howard's old seat. What did you read from the federal election? What's it mean for the government going into its own poll in 9 months' time?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. Look, there are lots of lessons to be learned from the federal campaign. The very first lesson is don't put candidates in the field the second of midnight. That was just madness, to be honest. You can't win any election without candidates, and the party machinery has a lot of soul searching to do about that. So that was pain point number one of many. But in broader policy settings, I think particularly in these inner seats, I think everything east of Parramatta, where there was a teal reflection, you need to be in tune with those values in your community. And if you're not in tune with those values, then you're going to be seen as isolated.
The very electorate you represent as a mix, it's predominated around some big institutions like Macquarie University, Macquarie Park, as a long-term anchor. Though in a way it hasn't had the big city centre as much as some other electorates have. You've sort of got that different parts of Ryde, the many faces of Ryde along the river and other things. Do you get the sense that your seat is a unified entity or a bit of an artificial sort of construct? Is it a bit North Shore? It's a bit Northwest. It's almost a little bit westy on the western fringe, the sort of the Ermington fringe. So where you?
Yeah, it's all things to all people, if you will, because you're right. It's like, you think about Top Ryde, it's the absolute midpoint between Parramatta and the city. I live on the southern side of the river, of the boundary here on Parramatta River, but on the northern side we've got Lane Cove River, and very different demographics right across. So we had a lot of housing commission around the river area, but that's now changed with a lot of development taking place close to the railway lines and the like. But then you go into the IT park, it is Macquarie Park, and we have a lot of IT professionals. Like, I think one of the highest concentration of IT professionals, I think, in the country in our electorate here. So it's very diverse, but look, it's I think it's a very progressive electorate because it's well informed. So you have to be across your brief, and if you got a view on whatever the topic is, you need to make the case. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people who disagree with me, but hopefully we respect each other's views. And if I just say X and I don't explain X, well then I deserve to be roundly condemned. But hopefully
I forgot to mention another great institution of your electorate will be Holy Cross College at Ryde, one of the great rugby league schools, nurseries of this city.
Well, I didn't go to Holy Cross. That's not in my electorate. That's Robbo's electorate.
Oh, I just missed out.
Just missed out. I was meant to go to Holy Cross because I went to Holy Spirit, Spiritus Sanctus back then. Glad went to the North Ryde Public School down the road. And all my mates, Spiritus Sanctus, went to Holy Cross. But my dad went to Marist Eastwood. So Dad said, "No, son, I went to Marist. I want you to go to Marist." I went to Marist, and and Marist is a great school too. But we were not big on. We didn't have football field, let alone
You
two.
probably would have come and borrowed a video of the West Ride video Easy Race to work as well. So.
That's right. We had to sprint down to Eastwood Oval, provided it didn't wasn't waterlogged at the time.
And we both still lament the loss of Putt Putt at Irmo West Ride.
Oh, jeez. Good times on Putt Putt. Yeah, I remember those days.
Speaking of that part of the world, there's a couple of new developments in your part of the world. Ivanhoe, innovative public housing renewal around Macquarie, and also the Meadowbank TAFE combined school. Maybe starting with Ivanhoe, are you comfortable where that's ended and how it's progressing?
Yeah, look, I'm actually proud of Ivanhoe, Chris, because look, I've taken a view that, you know, I'm absolutely against inappropriate development. Like, for me, development needs to be met by appropriate infrastructure. And the reason I was so upset with all the development that was taking place around Meadowbank is because they did not build the schools and all the other necessary facilities to accommodate all these people around here. And that was just wrong. So we literally had to retrofit a brand new high school, upgrade the TAFE, a brand new primary school, like all these things. We're now working with Sydney Water and the industrial park to, again, have a fit for purpose area around that employment precinct. We've got to widen Victoria Road. All these things should have been part of that, broader envelope of planning when they allowed all these apartments in. It really is so upsetting for me. What they've done in Ivanhoe, and I got criticised at the time for supporting Ivanhoe, but I said to them, listen here, Ivanhoe is well planned out. We're getting rid of all this social housing, and there was about 300, I think from memory, 365 apartments for social housing, and we were getting, I think we ended up getting like 700 or thereabouts. I'll need to refresh my memory, but a significant increase in social housing out of it as well. But more importantly, it was going to be mixed development, i.e., having all the social housing in one area like we did with Ivanhoe, you create ghettos.
No one with a job, no aspiration to get.
Correct, and mixing it
up. It's a bit like you're thinking of salt and pepper. It's
very much like my thing. I didn't have salt and pepper but I had to go to war with the department back then because I said there is no chance I'm going to oppose this uphill down dale. If you salt and pepper it and you put a school in there and the like, I'll support it. And I supported it because it is a considered development with school and it was salt and pepper. So you break generational disadvantage, and I'm for that. So the short answer is, if it's appropriate development, that's why I'm all for e-planning. I was championing it because you get more visibility and therefore better planning outcomes. And no one will oppose good development. It's the egregious stuff that causes scar tissue.
On that point, where are you at on the Marston Park Bridge over to Wentworth Point? Is that likely to finally get a go ahead to whether or not the light rail comes that route or use it, whether it's the busway?
Yeah, look, I'd be supportive of it, but again, that's transport and treasury and the like. But it's going to eventually have to happen. You would have thought, because
we need some more river crossings.
Yeah. We got the rickety old bridge at the moment, but we need to have a north-south connection. We really do need to, and you would understand this better than most. We don't have a true connection between Mac Park, which is a hub, and the Olympic Park.
Correct.
We got that terrible Lane Cove Road, but we really need to think about that. Now, look, it's probably going to happen beyond my life in politics, but it's something that needs to be done together with the East West, which we've worked on.
You were speaking about overdevelopment in the region, and I think it's fair to say the angst in your part of the world about some of the unholy developments along Victoria Road were, I think, out of control.
Yeah.
We're great champions for this thing called the Central River City, the missing link, the great post-war suburban arc from Hornsby to Hurstville. Yeah. But unfortunately, it's an area that's been beset by pretty average local governance over years. I mean, everything from Ryde, Parramatta, Auburn, Canterbury, but there's a litany Bayside now, Rolled, Hurstville Council. Largely, they've all been consumed and fixed now, so I can do it historically, but pretty appalling governance by politicians from both sides.
Yeah.
and a tendency, all the brand new Western Parkland City, all the big infrastructure, turning cow paddocks into space age.
Yeah.
And it's easy to forget that bit in the middle of the east and the west.
Yeah.
Do you think the problem we're going to have getting more density, can we overcome, will things like the Greater Sydney Commission give people some confidence back who've had it dented by such bad work by local government and developers to allow the sort of density we actually need in those suburban centres?
Look, I think so, Chris, because again, Greater Sydney Commission were there helping us out in relation to Ivanhoe, and Ivanhoe is a good case point. Like, again, my opponent,
between Macquarie Centre and Macquarie Uni, for everybody to understand that Ivanhoe.
Basically, if people don't, they'll probably know the landmark of El Rancho Hotel on Epping Road.
Oh,
everyone knows the
if you don't, you should. My generation certainly does, that's for sure.
And the Stanford on the other side. So, but Ivanhoe, again, I was absolutely criticised and about it at the time because it was a development proposition. But the community, honestly, Chris, I can tell you now, I hardly got any pushback because the community could see that you were building infrastructure, social infrastructure around it. So, that shows me that if you say to the community, we'll give you the schools, we'll give you the parks, we'll give you this, and let's be honest.
Surely it's a social compact with communities.
Correct. It is. And you break that trust when all you do is whack, massive development and then nothing else, and they become ghettos. It's just ridiculous. So
things like Appin and Wilton come to mind anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge.
And there's plenty of examples of really good, innovative thinking around development and uses. Like, for example, the grounds of Alexandria. Like, how good is that? And I say to people, for example, we got that West Ryde Meadowbank, employment precinct. It's really old. It needs some work. We're working with Sydney Water to fix all that. And I say to people, imagine if we could have a grounds of Alexandria here in Ryde, a grounds of Ryde thing. No one's saying we don't want that. That they would be all for it, and the development that would be commensurate with that. Again, if you show people that, to your point, there is a compact of trust, I think people would be part of that vision.
Let me finish with, how you sometimes pinch yourself what Gladys started, and you certainly ran with, convincing government of a digital future, of changing culture, concept of service culture within government, a Service New South Wales model. The fact you've got a nation now using, we've had those little patchy little codes on the side of products for years, right? With some like global conspiracy.
No one knew about them.
Everyone except my father are now using them. When you look back, I mean, that's a legacy. I said Gladys probably started, and you certainly took the baton and ran with. Is that, you still surprise yourself the way you're able to change ingrained culture of customer service and digital access within government?
Look, it's been, there's a lot of great.
Assuming you have changed the culture, yeah.
Look, I'm really proud of the Department of Customer Service. Like, they don't act like a typical government agency. They are agile. I ask them to do things. I come up with thought bubbles all the time about new ideas, and because I'm never asleep at night, just always listening to what's new at tech and stuff like that. And to their eternal credit, they look for ways to say yes rather than say no. I'm so proud of them. I'm just so lucky. But it took a while, to be honest. I've been fortunate that Glad gave me the license when she was there to set up Department of Customer Service, because no one in the world has done anything like customer service. I'm the only minister for customer service. And when we pitched the idea to her, she gave me a license. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have had that. I wouldn't have been able to do the Digital Restart Fund. I wouldn't have had DAPCO. And these are the things that really drive culture. And during the pandemic, the big thing that changed the culture of the pandemic was the collaboration. We were a junior agency, begging people to work with us before the pandemic. People saw the value of digital data customer as being central to delivery of service. And then during the pandemic and now continuing, people are now saying, how can we collaborate? So that's one of the the beautiful things that came out of the pandemic, the essence of collaboration.
The elder legacy. Minister, thank you. I should ask, Tigers, they were robbed against the Cowboys?
Oh, absolutely, mate.
Robbed.
There should be a Royal Commission. I'm calling for a royal commission.
Technology let NRL down there. They should put you in charge of the bunker.
For a royal commission into that game.
Ms. Dominello, thank you for your time. Good luck and Godspeed.
Yeah, good on you, Chris. It's always good to chat.